All right, today we're diving into one of the biggest headaches in crypto. You know that feeling? Why is everything so slow and so expensive? Well, we're going to look at a project called Near Protocol, because it was literally built from the ground up to solve that exact problem.
I mean, if you've ever tried to send some crypto or use a decentralized app, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You hit send and you just wait, and then you wait some more. And finally you see the fee and you're like, wait, how much? It's a total pain.
So, what's really going on here? Well, at the end of the day, it all boils down to one simple thing. It's a traffic problem. The easiest way to think about it is to picture the blockchain as like a digital highway.
And you know what happens on a real highway during rush hour, right? When everyone tries to get on at the same time, you get a massive traffic jam. That is exactly what happens with a lot of the big-name blockchains, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, when they get busy.
And when that happens, the whole network just slows to a crawl. Seriously, transactions that should be instant can take minutes. And because everyone's fighting for the same tiny bit of space on the road, the cost to get your transaction through, that's your transaction fee, it just skyrockets. We're talking fees that can jump from a few bucks to $50 or even more. Suddenly, using it for something small, like buying a coffee, forget it. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, but what if you could design a blockchain that just didn't have traffic jams? A system built from day one to avoid this whole mess. Well, that's exactly where Near Protocol enters the picture. It was built specifically to tackle this problem of, scaling up.
So what is Near? To put it simply, it's a blockchain platform that's all about making crypto apps fast, super cheap, and really, really easy to use. The idea is to make them feel just like the normal apps on your phone. Because let's be honest, you're never going to get millions of people using this stuff if it's slow and costs a fortune, right?
Okay, so that's the big promise. But how does it actually do it? How does Near manage to beat the traffic that grinds other networks to a halt? Well, the answer is in some seriously clever tech.
Near's secret weapon is something called sharding. Now let's jump back to our highway analogy for a second. Imagine as traffic starts to build up, the highway could magically add more lanes, instantly. That's kind of what sharding does. The network sees it's getting busy, and it automatically splits itself into smaller parallel highways. We call these shards. Each one of these shards handles its own chunk of traffic at the exact same time. And that's how the whole system can scale up to handle millions of users without ever getting backed up.
And when you compare the two, man, the difference is night and day. On one side, you've got the older blockchains, slow, pricey, and they use a ton of energy. And on the other side, you've got Near. Because it uses a newer system called proof of stake, it stays lightning fast, transaction fees are usually just a couple of cents, and it's way, way more eco-friendly.
So what's the engine that makes this whole thing go? Well, like most blockchains, the network runs on its own native crypto, the Near token. And this token isn't just for trading. It has some really important jobs to do. 4 main ones, really. First off, you use it to pay for those tiny transaction fees we just talked about. Second, you can stake your tokens, which basically helps secure the whole network, and you earn more Near as a reward for doing that. Third, if you hold Near, you get a say in how the network evolves. You can vote on upgrades. And last but not least, it's used to pay the developers who are actually building all the cool apps on the platform.
A really good way to sum it all up is this. Near is both the fuel and the voice of the network. It's the fuel that keeps the engine running, right? But it's also the voice that lets the entire community decide where the car's going.
All right, but look, no technology is a silver bullet, and it's super important we keep a balanced perspective here. So let's get real and look at both the pros, the things that make Near so exciting, and the cons, the actual challenges it's facing out in the wild.
So the strengths are pretty obvious, right? It's fast, it's cheap, it's sustainable, and it's built to be easy for regular folks and for the developers building on it. But it's definitely not a guaranteed win. The competition is absolutely fierce. You got the giant, Ethereum, with its massive established community, and then you have other speed demons like Solana nipping at its heels. On top of that, like any crypto, its price can swing wildly. And at the end of the day, it's all about adoption. It needs more people using it, and it has to make sure the apps built on it are rock solid and don't have any bugs.
Here's another way to think about it that might help put things in perspective. If Ethereum was like that first revolutionary smartphone that just blew everyone's mind and changed everything, then you can think of Near as the brand new upgraded model. It's built on all those same game-changing ideas, but it's been re-engineered from the inside out to be faster, cheaper, and just way easier for everyone to use.
And that really brings us to Near's biggest, most ambitious goal. See, this isn't just about building a faster blockchain. It's about fundamentally changing how we all interact with the internet.
Their whole long-term game plan really comes down to three big things. First, making it accessible. So using a crypto app feels as simple as opening a website. Second, making sure it scales, so it stays fast, even if millions and millions of people jump on. And third, making it interoperable, so it can easily connect and talk to other blockchains, like Ethereum. And this right here, this is the core of their whole philosophy. For Near, winning doesn't mean everyone suddenly understands what sharding is. No. Winning is when you're using a decentralized app and you don't even know or care that you're on a blockchain. The tech just disappears into the background. It just works.
So I'll just leave you with this final question to chew on. If the technology truly becomes invisible, what does that make possible? I mean, when using a decentralized service is just as easy as clicking a link on a website, what kind of completely new apps or new economies could we build? That's the future Near is racing to create.